welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee, the host of this podcast, and I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited to be here. When I used to just record on audio, I could try it once or twice just to make sure the sound was okay, and it usually went just fine. With video, I've said that many times already this morning. I had some weird buzzing, but here I am. A little less time to do this and checking my hair. I didn't really check the lighting, but oh well. So I'm going to talk to you today about why it's important to prep, practice, rehearse what you're going to do before you need to do it, especially if it's something where there's some kind of pressure on you to perform. So if you think of your life as a performance, maybe you are a performer. I don't know if I am, but maybe you are a performer. But if you just need to host a party or cook a certain dinner or make a cheesecake that you've never made before, doing it before and making sure you can do it can be really helpful. I have a friend who loves to cook. And when my oldest daughter got married, I love cheesecake. And I don't really like regular cake. And my daughter didn't really at the time either. And so she decided to have cheesecake. I thought, how cool is that? And so to save money, we bought a bunch of Costco cheesecakes. And I don't know if you know this, but you can buy them unscored. So when you buy them in the store, they have the little slice marks in them so you can slice them easier. And if you want, you can order them without that so they look prettier. I'm moving things right now, sorry, because I'm just looking at the lighting. I'm so distracted. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'm just setting up another light. It doesn't really make a difference. Why do I do this? Okay, back to my story. So we ordered some plain cheesecakes, and then we could decorate them with fruit or flowers, or I don't know what we did, actually. It was probably fruit. It was probably fruit like berries and things like that, and tiered them up on little things. But for serving, so that was for the bulk of the cheesecakes, to have them be a little bit cheaper. But for the specialty cheesecakes, my friend said, oh, I love to make new desserts and stuff. So I looked up some recipes, and one was kind of like a Snicker bar, but you didn't use Snicker bars, but it was one that would have the caramel and the chocolate and some nuts. Another one was more of a chocolate mint. So I think maybe it was chocolate peanut butter or something. So I found these recipes, and I said, do you think you could make one of each of these? So we had some really nice ones for a few people to try if they wanted something a little more fancy, or they could have the standard cheesecake with berries. And she said, sure. And I thought, well, since she can cook, she's probably just going to make them. But she told me, I practiced making them. I made each recipe, and they're really good. So yeah, I can make it. And I thought, that's really cool that you took the time to make one on your own. And I paid her for it and everything, but that you did that to make sure that they turned out well for an event such as a wedding reception. Because honestly, I think it's one of my nervous things that I do. A lot of times, I think it's more impulsive. So with ADHD, you can have the impulsive, hyperactive type, the inattentive type, and you could have either of those or both. I have both. I do see an impulsiveness in trying to decide, and then the decision-making problems, trying to decide what to cook or serve for a dinner. Sometimes it's like, yeah, we're going to have chili and cornbread. But then the impulsive part of me will say, well, make the chili that you always make, that vegan chili, that's your friend's recipe that you love. But I had chicken chili once, and it was really good. I think I'll just look up a recipe and try it. And I never try it until the day of. I don't do a trial run. This is my flaw with cooking, one of the many. And I also don't taste it. You know how you always see on TV shows and stuff, like, like Gwyneth Paltrow or something, she loves to cook with her dad. I don't know if her dad's still alive, but I used to hear things like that, and she'd do a little show or a little video with it. And they'd sip it in the kitchen and taste it. For some reason, I can't get myself to do it. I just wait until the moment and then see what everybody else thinks. Or maybe just start, adding salt myself as I taste it. Like I'm in a restaurant, I can taste the sweet potato fries and think, I need more salt. for some reason, as I'm cooking, I can't sense that. I can't slow down enough to do that. But when I'm seated, I can do that. And I say to people, and then I run around, and, oh, here's more salt if you want it, or you might want some of this on it, So anyway, that's just my thing. That is not a prepping, previewing, preloading is what the psychiatrists call it, behavior. That is just wing it. That is just wing it. I can just wing it. Do you ever think that was something? I think that with a lot of things is when I get up there, I'll know what to do. And and for some of us that works. For some of us, we wouldn't even do it unless we did it that way, because all the patience that it takes or the mindset that it takes to do that prep work or previewing work, for some reason we can't get ourselves to slow down and do that. But we can get ourselves to actually do it in the moment. Maybe it's the energy of people are coming over now. I need to do it. I'm just going to try this. And the impulse part. But there's a lot of wisdom in doing it that way. And I guess for me, with the cooking part, I haven't decided that it really matters yet to change my behavior. Because when you decide that something is important and it matters, then you might change your behavior. And sometimes we learn from our mistakes. If you have a doctor's appointment in a new building, you've never been there before, you've never been to that part of town at that time of day before, and you have an idea in your mind of, I can get there at this time, you may not even plan it out beyond that. You might just guess. And there's a good chance you can be late. A little more prepping might be, okay, that, in your mind. So your normal, just think it through in your mind. That might take me about 20, 25 minutes. If you were really responsible, you'd also add on 5 minutes for getting in the car, finding a parking spot. Maybe you need to add 10 for that. Getting in the car in your own house. Because what if you get in the car and you've forgotten your phone? You need to allow for that. And then you get to the parking lot. What if there's no parking and you need to drive around in circles or something? So you need to add on 10 minutes for that. So that's a little more prepping. But even more so, instead of just using GPS on the way out the door, you get in your car and you're trying to use the GPS and the Wi-Fi is not as good because you're not in your house anymore and the cellular is not quite as good. Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you before. If you've learned from your mistakes that didn't work very well, then the next time you find the address, put it in your maps in your phone the night before or a half hour before, whatever, you have it there. You can even push start before you leave, because sometimes for some reason it doesn't save. There are ways to save the address. I know in Apple Maps, I haven't figured that out as much in Google Maps, but I use both of them. But if you do that before you even walk out of the house, then once you're in the car, it's already pushed go. It's in the system. Even if your cellular's a little laggy, it'll pick up, but you'll know how long it takes to get there. And you can give yourself that 10-minute buffer zone to get in the car and to get in the building, or you might even need more depending on the parking situation. Because where we live now, one of the doctor's offices I go to has the big parking garage. It's in a major hospital, teaching hospital structure. So it's more involved than just parking in a parking lot and walking in. It's going into the parking garage and all that. So you're figuring that out. And this shouldn't be stressing you out. It should be making you more calm, because you are going to know what to do. You are going to be empowered. Your brain is going to be more relaxed because you're going to know what to do. So that's part of the prepping. It's part of the preloading the brain. It's helping your brain make those connections, I guess it is, so that the next day you're not as scattered. If you have the scattered part of ADHD, the executive dysfunction, where you can just have too many things coming in and you can't put them into the right place to know what to do. And then, you arrive all frazzled in the doctor's office and they ask you for your phone number, date of birth or something. And you're just like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. I can't make sense of these things. Okay, that's a better situation, right? Even better, if you've learned this about GPS map apps and stuff, is you can, night before, look at what time you're going to need to get there or leave. So if you have your doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock and you think, I should probably get there at 10 till. If you have any kind of social anxiety or just impatience, you might think, I don't want to get there early. I don't want to get there early. Have you ever done that? I think that sometimes. I like being around people. The social part doesn't bother me. I think that I need to maximize my time as much as I can throughout my life. It gets to me to where I think I don't want to waste time sitting there. If I don't have to, they're going to make me wait anyway. So I'll get 5 more things done at home and then leave instead of plan to get there early. Plan to get there early if you want to be on time. If you haven't seen my podcast episode about arriving on time, planning to get there early is key. Now to how to do the time thing. Everything, at least for me, for my brain, works better on a computer than it does on a phone. Sometimes apps have better functioning, but maybe it's my age, but looking at a little screen is like someone's taken my brain and they've made it smaller. It's harder to process what's going on there. But having it on a bigger screen, I can see my possibilities. And, it's just a laptop, but I can see the possibilities better. And I know for Google Maps on the computer and on the phone, I did it the other night on the phone because I'd put my computer, I've been plugging my computer in the other room. Long story. But you can say, are you going to do it to arrive now or to leave now? Or do you want to do it at a different time? So then you go in and put the date and you put the next day and then you put what time either you want to leave or you think you can leave. What would happen if I left at 8 o'clock? You put that in, it'll tell you based on the usual traffic for that time, what time you could get there. Or you could say, I need to get there by 10. You put that in and it will tell you what time you need to leave by. And then you add that 5, 10, even 15 minutes if you want. Because the thing is now we have our phones to entertain us. We really do. If you get there early and you think, I know how to walk in that building, I'm here, I'm going to answer a few texts first. You can do that. It's better if you do it inside, get a little Wi-Fi in the waiting room because there are so many fun things with ADHD. It's also time blindness. You might answer a text. You might be somebody like me who is thorough in the text answer and then finds a picture to accompany it and then goes to find that picture and sees something else and decides to share another picture with somebody else. So if you start doing all those things, if you give a mouse a cookie things, you might not make it there even though you planned so well to get there. So that's some more prepping. But I'm going to give you the grand finale, the grand performance, pre-performance, the dress rehearsal. So if you think of being in a play, a musical, I was in musicals in high school, never was a lead. I can't act for the life of me, but I can have fun in the background, singing and dancing. And we rehearsed a lot. We knew what to do. We learned our dances. We learned to go, like we're scared or whatever, when to come in. And then we had dress rehearsals. So we would get an idea, and probably even more so for the director, to get an idea of how is this all coming together. I've worked out these little pieces, but how is it all coming together? And that gives everybody involved an idea, a much better idea of how to do it. And the fact that you're getting dressed and putting on makeup, how long does it take to do that? Do we have enough people there to do it? Do we have the costumes right and all of that? And if you're like me and you didn't discover you had ADHD until adulthood, until a few years ago, this year, 5 years ago, 10 years, and you've experienced a lot of life before that, you might look back continually. I just realized this yesterday, continually, and see, oh, I didn't realize I did that. That was something I set up because I knew we had a much better chance of having this go smoothly if we did this. I came up with this idea because I knew how my brain worked. Didn't know why, didn't know it was ADHD, but I knew how my brain worked. And I knew if I did this, we had a much better chance of things going smoothly, of life going better, of arriving on time or having things work out. Because if you're going somewhere new, doing something new, and especially if there are other people involved or you need to bring a lot of things with you, that dress rehearsal is important. So the pieces that I put together, well, let's start with this. Okay, I'm teaching hot yoga now. And I say I'm teaching, but first class is in an hour and 12 minutes. So I've been teaching yoga for over 20 years. I've been teaching as a certified yoga teacher for over 11 years. But I started teaching just because I wanted to share yoga with people. Just so crazy, because it wasn't like I was even interested before. It's just once I did yoga and just thought, oh wow, this is amazing, that I just started asking friends, you want to come over? You want to do yoga? I can teach yoga to this women's group or at this camp for girls or whatever. Yeah, I became the yoga teacher that didn't have an ounce of training, but was just sharing what I love. And at my first training, that was what I was told: share what you know, share what you love. And I share things that don't make sense in my body that might in somebody else's too, but sharing what you know is important instead of trying to share what you don't know. I've tried that. But anyway, so the hot yoga studio, this gym that I work at, has multiple locations, and they decided to build new construction at their main location. They built a hot yoga studio. Never taught hot yoga before. I've attended hot yoga classes, was never my favorite. But I'm giggling because the impulse of, I don't want to miss out on anything exciting and new. Part of me just thought, well, I don't want to be busier. I want to spend time with my podcast. I want to do more for the women with ADHD. But I also love meeting people, and I love being in on the new fun thing. So I agreed to teach 2 yoga classes back to back. And they're not the hottest of hot. They're not the Bikram style. That is not my favorite. They're 95 degrees. One class 90 to 95, 80 to 85. So the vinyasa flow and the yin. The yin is going into a pose, holding it. It can be anywhere from 90 seconds, 5-6 minutes. Will probably be more in the 2-minute range, but it depends on the pose, really. When you're impulsive, you decide as you go, right? You see how you feel. But back to this. So, a new hot yoga studio. I went to the open house a week ago, saw where it was, got to walk around. That made me feel more comfortable to have a better idea of what it will be like when I teach. Once I heard the construction was more, closer to getting done, and there weren't as many yellow tape spots outside, and you could peek through the window, I did that too because I wanted an idea. My brain needed to be prepared. I was peeking through the windows. Then all of a sudden, some construction guys were saying, just come in, just come in. I got to walk around. I took pictures. I imagined. That helps my brain for today. Going to the open house last week helped my brain for today. And then I started thinking, you don't even know how you can do in a 45-minute class at 80 to 85 degrees or 90 to 95 degrees. Do you? And I thought, no, it's been a long time. I mean, I've taken classes like that, but as a teacher, or in that room. So I looked and somewhat impulsively decided I'm going to go to a Saturday class. I'm going to find one that's like the same amount of time as my yin class and go and get there early so I can not be frazzled when I get there, have time to set up, kind of see what it's like for the teacher to have time to set up. Got there about the same time she did and just kind of made my way through the line. They were making people wait outside, and I said, I can help you if you want a setup. So I got to go in and kind of get the feel for that. I've also learned how to use the Bluetooth sound bar and how to do the lights so that when I come in, I'm not scattered. I'm not saying, oh no, I have to set up lights. There's an alarm. Sorry. I've done that before, and I'm not going to edit it out. I know you can hear it probably. That's telling me to get ready to leave. But anyway, back to this. So the dress rehearsal. I'm closer to a dress rehearsal, right? Because I've driven there. I've seen how long it takes to get there. And by actually attending a class, that gave me an idea of how I need to replenish myself while I'm there. Because I say I've done hot yoga before 3 times. First 2 times, they were probably more like hour and a half classes. First 2 times, the only way I know how to describe it is I feel like I was hit by a truck. I loved it while I did it. I thought, oh, this is so amazing. I'm so invigorated. This is great. Oh, this is challenging. You feel so empowered. Walked out the door feeling on this high, which a lot of people, that is their experience, and that's what they continue to feel. Not my body. About an hour later, felt like I was hit by a truck, even though I don't really know what that feels like. My head hurt so bad, and I thought, oh, take a shower, relax, take a bath. None of that helped. Tried eating, I had my water, everything. Nothing helped. Went to bed that night, just with this horrible headache, feeling so awful, almost nauseated. And woke up the next morning, felt better. Second time I did hot yoga, wasn't as long of a class probably. I brought my water, drank water throughout the class, had plenty. Didn't step out like other people did. Probably should have. And then I ran some errands afterwards, felt, oh, I'm fine. Get home, same exact feeling from a couple years ago. And I only went to that second class because a friend of mine was teaching it. And I thought, oh, that'd be fun to go to this class. And I thought, okay, what is this? What's going on? It wasn't like I was going to go to hot yoga all the time, but what is going on? Doesn't happen for everyone, but it was happening for me. So did a little Googling. Early signs of heat exhaustion. Happens to some people with hot yoga. What do? Electrolytes. Eat right after. Eat something substantial. Protein. Blah, 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 blah. Don't just drink water. Have electrolytes too. You're losing more than just water and sweat. All these kinds of things. So third time. Why did I do hot yoga third time? So it's on a trip. A friend said, well, a cousin actually, would you take this with me? She'd been taking hot yoga and it was a thing where you had to do it every day for 30 days. So I went with her. But I had more information, and I ate right afterwards, immediately after had the electrolytes. Felt completely fine. So I thought you really should test this in yourself now, because I'm probably, I would say, at least 10 years older than the last time I did hot yoga. And I know I'm supposed to be sharing what I know and, hot yoga, but I'm sharing the yoga I know in a hotter room. So I went to both classes that were like my classes. And the first one, I brought my cork mat because cork is, I've got a lot of cork stuff in here, but if I lift this up, everything will fall. But cork gets super grippy when it's wet, even just slightly, like when you're almost starting to sweat, it becomes super grippy. And I bought a cork mat years ago, which is another long story. And I found if I went to a regular yoga class where you weren't quite warmed up yet, I actually took a paper towel from the bathroom, got water on it, and put wet spots where my hands were so my hands wouldn't slip in down dog, because it's not sticky on its own. But once I got warmed up, it was just all perfect. But it's super heavy. It's kind of a pain to bring anywhere. And I liked using it, but most places I've done yoga isn't that warm. So I haven't used it in years. But I thought, bring it to this yin class because you will probably need it. Well, we never got that sweaty. And it was super heavy to carry in from the parking lot. And I'm all about comfort. So I thought so that was my first thing. I'm learning as I go. I'm there. I can handle the heat. I drank my drink during. I really prepped. I made a protein smoothie with all kinds of stuff in it for after. Drank that. And I didn't feel sick, headachy at all afterwards. So that was the first dress rehearsal, right? I thought that I'd learned you actually don't need that cork super heavy mat. Just bring your regular mat and a towel. That's what everybody else had. But I'm very sensitive to discomfort. So if that had been an issue, I would have lugged it around. I wouldn't have, just thought everybody else is using that. I have to do what feels right for me. But then I thought, really, you should try the 45-minute flow class because that's what you're going to teach. It's going to be more sweaty. It's going to be hotter in temperature. And you're going to do things that you might need that grip. But I thought, no, I'll be fine with the towel. I have the yoga towel with the little grippy spine. Took that class, also brought the protein smoothie. So my preparation for this has been exhaustive. But I want to go in today, which I need to leave in a few minutes. I want to go in as prepared as I can be. Because I know when I teach a class, when I do something where I am, performing, not really performing, but if you think of it as a stage, I am the one up there talking. I am the one that needs to do this. But if I have a lot of things distracting my brain, like the music's not quite right, or I don't like the lights, how do you work that out? All those scattered things that I can't quite wrap my head around, or my hands are slipping, I am not going to be able to be present and be able to do what I need to do. And you can adapt this or adopt this to anything that you do in your life, with your children, with your family, something that you need to do. If you ever feel really scattered and you think that was kind of a mess, I couldn't even be in my right mindset. All of these things, even though it might feel exhaustive, it's actually kind of fun, because if you like to hyper focus, when you don't have to do it, when you're not on stage yet, the pressure's not there. So it's kind of fun to go through the motions. And when I went to that second class that was 10 degrees hotter, that was sweatier, I was completely missing my cork mat. I was starting to slip toward the end on my towel, and I thought, this is a grippy, kind of expensive, nice towel, the Manduka towel. It's not working for me. I moved it away and thought, maybe my mat's okay. It's not super sweaty. Maybe we're fine. Nope. Any kind of little slip for me makes it so I'm not as happy as I'm doing yoga. And for me, it's all about relaxing, being happy when I'm in the class, or it's not letting those things distract me as I'm teaching. So I learned as I went. I also learned, how long does it take me to get there? What are the parking possibilities? I might have to go out farther away. When I get there, will I need to go to the bathroom? All of these things, because I did dress rehearsals, hopefully I have a more successful experience today. In fact, the lighting will be different. I should probably stop this and come back and let you know. I'll probably be exhausted, but I do have all my drinks and everything prepared. I'm lugging in like a million pounds of stuff on both sides. But back to just relating it to you a little bit. So if you have children, if you have doctor's appointments, if you have things that are new experiences that you need to arrive for in some sort of calmness, all I can think of is lack of pandemonium, because sometimes that's how you feel. The connection I made yesterday as I was thinking, I'm so glad that I've gone through these trial runs, that I didn't just wing it today, that I've given myself so much information that I can do better today. I'm so glad I did that. I remembered that when my kids were little, I decided that, and I did it before my oldest daughter was in kindergarten, so I have 6 kids. I decided that, and maybe it's part of the curiosity, I don't know if you're extra curious, that before her first day of kindergarten, I wanted to go see where her room was, walk around. They used to have the kindergartners at the middle school in this different part of campus with its own little playground. And so I took her up there so she was comfortable with it. We saw where the playground was. We walked around. Things weren't as locked up as they are now. And we kind of got a trial run. We got to see what it was like. And from there, I started thinking, you know what? The day before school starts, I don't really know with my kids, my babies and stuff. I mean, I had, like, when my 5th child, my second youngest, was born, she was born 2 weeks after school started at a brand new school. So I had 4 other kids. The youngest at the time that wasn't the baby was in kindergarten. And thankfully, I'd been doing this tradition that the day before school, we had kind of a day before school celebration. We set out clothes that we were going to wear. They didn't need to be our brand new clothes for school, but we set out the clothes the night before. That's also a prep thing. If you do that, you set out your clothes, you set out your water bottle, your things. You're doing that so it's not as hard the next day. So we set those things out. The next morning, we said, okay, we're going to get up this time, because this was the anticipation. We didn't have Google Maps to let us know. We in my mind, we need to eat breakfast by this time. We need to have your lunches packed. We need to do all that, get in the car, drive to the school. Not quite as crowded the day before, to park the car and walk the kids in. But we walked and we found each teacher's classroom. And this is where your classroom is. This is where your teacher is. A lot of times the teacher was already in there setting up for the next day. My child would get to meet their new teacher, see where the playground is. Maybe we play a little bit, go back home. Next day, first day of school, not all that fear or anxiousness I was always excited the first day of school. But knowing how it would be was helpful. And what was so funny is when we went to that new school, when my youngest daughter was born, so here I am fully pregnant, go in with these 4 kids. We do this the day before school starts. And it was a Monday, so school started on Tuesday. And we didn't know any of those teachers. And it was a small school. So they all saw us walking around, like, oh, here's your classroom. And a few of them came out and said, oh, I'm so sorry, school doesn't start till tomorrow. Like, you came a day early. I'm so sorry you got all your kids up and dressed and everything. And I said, actually, we know. We're just doing this because we want to make sure tomorrow goes well. But that was a survival skill that I developed in my brain. Maybe you've done things like that too. If you see little things that you've done, pat yourself on the back for a job well done. And if you ever have a new experience and you think, I should see what that's like. I should drive there today. And you think, no, I don't need to. I can just do it tomorrow. Go with your first thought on that. Help yourself out. Help yourself out. But I really do need to go. I'm going to just pause this, come back, and let you know how it went. Bye. Hello again. This is a podcast first. My podcast, I get to make the rules, right? Doesn't Taylor Swift have a song like that? Anyway, she doesn't say that, but I'm back. And I have to tell you, with all the things that could happen in a new situation, I really felt the benefits of being there before, doing the trial run. Even just knowing where I'm driving is so important. Knowing what a parking lot is like. And one of the reasons is with ADHD, processing a lot of information at the time can be overwhelming. Trying to make decisions, if your brain gets maxed out, then it's harder to do what you need to do. And if you can think of anything in your life that doesn't go very smoothly, new situations, whether it's something you need to do at home, other people will see it, and you need to be prepared for it, spending as much time as you can in the prep time, even though it might seem not as necessary. It's a kind of a nice thing, because whenever you do that trial run, whenever you do the dress rehearsal or whatever, no one's there watching. Your brain can sort through it. There's no time limit. There might be, you might have to go somewhere later, but it's not the same. It's not the same pressure. So practicing before you perform, practicing doing something, doing a trial run through, it reduces stress that you could get. It helps you with new situations. It puts your mind at ease, and it gives you a much better chance of success. So I'm just going to give you a few reasons why it can be helpful related to ADHD. One is that we do, maybe not everyone, I know symptoms can be different for everyone, but many of us struggle with time blindness, not really being able to see how long something takes, or as we're going through the actual motions of going the next day, we don't realize, like, just deciding to change your earrings in the last minute can make you 10 minutes late. So some of those things, if you think you might want to change your earrings, set that out the night before. Put on some earrings that you can sleep in, and have that not be one of the things, not one of the steps that you have to do. And yeah, your brain has to sort out all of these unknown things. I mentioned in another podcast about how just going into a restaurant that you order at the counter, you've never been there before, you look up above and you can't make sense of the menu. And you're with somebody and they're saying, what do you want to get? Or the person in front of you or whatever. And it's a lot to process. So even that, seeing online what the menu is, can be helpful. It's not always the same in person. Sometimes things are different, but it does give you an advantage. So anything that you can do to give yourself an advantage will help. It gives you a better sense of the timing that it needs. It helps you have less mental stuff going on, mental clutter, all the thoughts or whatever. It helps you keep your eye on what you need to do, because if you're thinking, oh, wait, I need this. Oh, wait, I would need that. You might forget something. And even today I have a backup iPhone for music in case the other one's not working, and which it hasn't been for a while. Now it is again, but I had to charge up the backup iPhone because I used it yesterday and forgot to charge it last night. And so this morning I thought, okay, charge it, but it's not right by the door as I leave. So I made a Post-it note with my Sharpie, because that's my method. If I can see it in a Sharpie, just a single Post-it note that said, bring backup phone. Had it there with everything else on the table as I'm about to leave, then I don't have to have that on my mind, because chances are it won't be there. But it just can help you. It will help you not be stressed in these situations. It'll help you make the decisions that you do have to make easier, because you don't have so many other things going on. And you can definitely come in with more confidence to whatever situation that you have to go through. And if you get grouchy, you'll have a better chance of not being grouchy. Yeah. The whole thing that I mentioned about, you get to the doctor's office, you didn't know where to park, you don't know which part of the building to walk in. The whole thing, where's the room once you get into the building, all those things. I've had it that when I get up to the counter to the person talking to me, them just asking me my date of birth is confusing. It's confusing, and I try to be kind. I think I am, but I'm sure I sound kind of irritated, because I want to say, do you realize I can't just do this? I just had to deal with the imperfect situation you guys have out there with parking. What you're asking of me is not simple. And well, partially she was doing that while she was having me fill out a piece of paper, and I'm thinking, I can't do this and do that at the same time. Yeah, we have to defend our abilities and non-abilities. So anyway, yeah, preloading. I don't know why they call it preloading. I actually didn't look that up. But it's a strategy to help you, help make those pathways in your brain, help you have a calmer experience. And if you thought of anything that you can do in your life, even if it's just something small, when you have a little downtime, when you have a little bit of energy, does that happen? I would imagine so. Take time to prepare for the next day, or something that's a week away, or whatever it is. As I find, if I go on a trip, if I've been there before, if I know the roads, so much easier. If I'm trying to figure it out as I go, and other people are depending on me, and they're not happy that I have no idea what's going on. Not that they should put that pressure on me, but you know what I mean? I feel the pressure. So yeah, give yourself every advantage you can. Thank you so much for being here on my podcast, Inspiring Women with ADHD. My idea is not so much that I'm inspiring you, hopefully I am, that I'm inspiring you that you can do the things you need to do in life, and that life can go a little better, but that you're inspiring to me, just knowing that I'm not the only one, and knowing that we are fantastic people. We really are. It's helpful to me in my life. But thank you so much for being here. I will be back. I don't really have any, make sure you do this. So I need to take a shower. The hot yoga was really fun. So sweaty, the first class. That was the 95-degree class. I pushed it. I made it a very physical yoga practice. And I thought, that's what we're here for, right? Second class, 70, 75 degrees, so relaxing, so calming. And now I just feel like, what am I going to do? Because I have 2 more classes. They're not hot, but I need to have the energy for them. So I'm going to go reset. But so much. I will be back. Bye.
Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause. of sound has yet been found, but not by me.